Welcome to a new edition of Tom Donahue Reports. Now, I have to tell you that I watched two Netflix docuseries on Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, and it's subtitled Filthy Rich, has their name, and then colon, Filthy Rich. Excellent. If you have any doubts that both of them were co-conspirators, that both of them partnered in these crimes, I mean, we now have Trump flirting with the idea of giving a pardon. And we now know that after his personal lawyer, who became a deputy attorney general, that met for many, many hours with Miss Maxwell at FCI Tallahassee low security prison, not a really harsh, bad place. But one of the rewards, which Trump is now saying today, that I didn't know anything about her move. Now, many experts and people that work in the BOP, work in the DOJ, U.S. Marshals, this does not happen. You cannot be convicted of a sex crime and go to a club-fed prison camp. This is the only case known in the history of the BOP. That's one of the absolute no-nos. You know, other type crimes, depending on how many years you have, depending on if you were a model prisoner, if there was little or no violations while you were serving your time, yes, you can be rewarded over time and brought down in terms of your security level. But sex offenders, they could have 1 year in possession of child pornography, or they made a certain lewd, suggestion towards a minor. They can never go to a prison camp. It's just, this is the most unusual, most outrageous exception to the rule. Now, we always hear exceptions to the rule. This should be never, ever an exception. Now, I was listening to a program tonight, and one of the commentators was saying that you're going to start hearing the word scapegoat as it relates to Ghislaine Maxwell. She's no scapegoat. She recruited, she groomed, she actually, her hands on underage girls that she recruited. She participated in sexual acts with minors. There's no scapegoating here. And if you want to look at her background and you watch this documentary and do some research on her, her father was a major media mogul, almost of the ranks of Rupert Murdoch in his media empire. Now, Maxwell either committed suicide or was murdered because he embezzled pension funds and various other things. So, died on the high seas. But she came from a family of affluence, a family of high social ranking. She was highly educated, Oxford University, unlike Epstein, who dropped out of college. Not a dummy, but didn't apply himself in terms of the collegiate arena. When she lost her father, who, even though he was abusive, they had a very close relationship, she was kind of seeking out, so it seems, a father figure and someone that she could, have that same bond with. And she really, really wanted to marry Epstein. And part of the reason that she was doing a lot of these things was she thought, the more I can please him, the more likely we'll be married, which never happened. There's no scapegoating here. I mean, she was old enough for sure that she wasn't recruited by Epstein. And so she took a lot of initiative in the recruiting and the grooming and the delivering of these sacrifices to him, and then she participated in these rituals, okay? In the review, which is Tatum at Netflix, it said, Epstein, filthy rich, recounts the sexual abuses of minors and victims in the fight for justice. That's what this is. It's a fight for justice for the victims. It's not to, protect Trump, but there's so much information coming out. I mean, Trump being his best friend from anywhere from 10 to 15 years, they spoke all the time. I didn't know that the mansions were within a mile of each other there in Mar-a-Lago, and then both of them had mansions in New York City. We know Trump visited there often. There's pictures of him being in the New York mansion. How many times he went to the mansion in Palm Beach, I don't know, but within a mile, and they're always in contact, and he had a membership and would visit Mar-a-Lago, I would think so. Even CBS News had experts look at the Epstein jail video and reported there were major discrepancies. Now, this is something that I not only posted as an article, but I posted on X, and my handle on X is Talker Tom, but under Tom Donahue Reports. This came from the New York Post. It says, mystery orange shape spotted near Jeffrey Epstein's jail cell the night before his death. So there was a stairwell that gave easy access to where Epstein was. To me, from what this sounds like, it was a trial run, but you couldn't see the face or anything, but there was a orange shape, which would mean like an orange jumpsuit. And they do have orderlies, and they have people that clean up and deliver food and work with the guards. And the FBI, the U.S. Marshals, the CIA, they've been known to infiltrate jails and prisons. And they might just be there a day. They might be there a week. They might be there a month. The staff may or may not know what their role is. Or they can pretend to be, jailers or, security guards at the institution. Now, I posted another article that showed the pictures of Trump, Melania, Epstein, Ghislaine, Prince Andrew at Mar-a-Lago in the year 2000, the same year he claims he booted the sex creep from his club, his private club. So he can't get his timeline right. But there's a documentary photographic evidence. Ghislaine Maxwell, she actually was friends with Prince Andrew before she was friends with Epstein. They went to school at Oxford together. The Epstein victims slammed Trump administration for giving Maxwell pampered preferential treatment. I mean, if you move to a camp that quickly, now let me just explain something else to you. Not only is this move highly unusual, it's never happened before based on everything I've researched and read, okay? Because that's the rules. You cannot be a sex offender and be brought down to the lowest of security without adequate security, meaning there has to be razor wire, there has to be a guard tower, there has to be a lot of precautions to protect the community at large. And you can say, oh, well, she's a woman. She's not going to go out there and molest anyone. It doesn't matter what you think. The law is the law. And if you're a convicted sex offender, sex trafficker, and if you read what the judge had to say in her sentencing, she was found guilty. He made very clear that she was an active participant. She wasn't a scapegoat. She wasn't someone that because Epstein's no longer here, someone had to pay the price. They both were, if not equally guilty, she was the right-hand man, as in like right-hand woman. She was a partner in crime, literally and figuratively. She was an active player and participant. Matter of fact, Epstein could not have violated so many minors if it wasn't for her recruitment and grooming and getting them prepared for the sacrifice, for that massage and for the sexual violations. Thanks for listening to Tom Donahue Reports. That's TomDonahueReports.com.